Paige Van Zandt used our laser to make her entire body hairless. So I have, the UFC is going mainstream. And I don't know if it's just me. I really don't think it is. I feel like one of the things that we loved about the UFC is the fact that it absolutely was not mainstream. That's what we like about it. And I feel like people have heard stuff like this in jokes or like in TV shows. This actually happened to me one time. I was hanging out with a friend and they were playing something. This was back, bro. This was like from like an MP3 player. They were playing a song that I had never heard of. I couldn't place the band. I didn't know who it was. I'd never listened to this before, but I was mesmerized. I loved what I was hearing. And I asked them, hey, who is this? I want to put this on my MP3 player. And they wouldn't tell me. They refused to tell me who it was. They said something along the lines of, like, I want to keep them underground. I don't want them to go mainstream. I'm not even playing with you, bro. They wouldn't tell me who it was because they liked the fact that it was like their sweet little obsession. Like they wanted to keep it under wraps. They wanted to make sure that it stayed underground. They thought that they were, keeping watch on the gate right here. They wanted to make sure that these dudes didn't explode and sell out and go mainstream. My homie, he wouldn't tell me. Turns out that group was One Direction. I'm just playing. Hey, to this day, I don't know who it was. But there's something to that. That's the way we are. That's the way we operate. We like stuff like that. Stuff that's ours. Stuff that's our dirty little secret. That is what we enjoy. And that's what the UFC used to be to us. It used to be our dirty little secret. You remember back in the old days when you would go to like the local, like the mom and pop? I'm not even talking about Blockbuster. They were a little bit too mainstream even back then. I'm talking about when you went into that little mom and pop type of store and they had those entrances. They had like the beads and stuff like that. Some of them, I remember where I grew up in my town, they had those little saloon doors. It had those little Western doors. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You'd go into these little video shops. And I remember the guy would always keep an eye on me. I swear that dude had eyes in the back of his beanie. He was always like, he wanted to make sure little kids didn't go back there, probably because I know he didn't really care deep down inside. But he didn't want to get sued or arrested or anything like that. But they either had like the saloon doors or they had like the beads and stuff like that. And when you go back there, you see some stuff that you're not supposed to see. That stuff for your Tío Beto and whatnot. Stuff for the grown-ups. And, back in the day, a lot of the youngins don't remember this today. Back in the day, UFC 1, UFC 2, UFC 3, those types on the VHS, you had to go back there. You had to go into that dark section where they had like a couple candles on back there. They had the lights a little bit dimmer. You'll be looking at like Jenna Jameson. You'll be looking at like... it was like Jenna Jameson, Royce Gracie. It was see, I'm too pure. I don't even know. There was a section they had all the VHS tapes for the cochinos. Hey, with all disrespect. With all disrespect, Tío Beto. They had the section with all the cochino type videotapes, and you had to go back there to get UFC 1. You had to see some stuff, man. And I think it was that way all the way up to like UFC 32 or something like that. I'm not even sure. But that's how underground it was. And that's how we liked it. And I think that's how the pornography epidemic took off in the United States, if I don't remember. I think it was riding off the heels of the UFC. I think that's how Seinfeld took off because they put it one night after Cheers and then it got popular. I think that's what they did with pornography. I think they had it was right off the heels of the UFC and that's what made it take off. I think if you really boil it down, it's the UFC that is to blame for the pornography problem that we have in the culture today. But that's neither here either. That's not what we're talking about right now. You had to go back to those sketchy areas back in the day to even get your hands on one of those VHS tapes. And that's the way that we liked it. I mean, think about, isn't everything like that from the start? Everything, whether it's your sports. I mean, look at the NBA today, bro. They're having to come up with this weak, like, mid-season tournament or whatever to even try to keep people excited and engaged anymore. The NFL, like, everything has become so over-politicized. Everything has gotten so watered down and PC. It's just not the way it used to be anymore. That's not what people liked. I think about one of my favorite, you know what is probably my favorite album from front to back of all time? Parachutes. Parachutes by Coldplay. That is probably one of the most fantastic albums from front to back, from start to finish, that has ever been created. And that was their debut album. As much as I like other bands even more, that has got to be, from start to finish, as far as I'm confirmed, the cleanest album ever made, their debut album. You listen to a Coldplay album today, it's a bunch of doo-doo plessy, bro. They sold out. They're trying to act like U2. And there's another thing right there. You want to hear some good U2? Listen to their first album. I don't know why they thought they had to become like this anthemic and like sanctimonious. It was weird, bro. Every time I hear any music of like U2, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's about to be some kind of like a ritual or ceremony or something. It got weird. But it's like, think about Fight Club. Imagine if there was no first rule of Fight Club. Imagine if everybody was allowed to talk about Fight Club. What would happen? I don't know if you saw the movie, but it was rough around the edges. It was dark. It was cool. That's where a man could be a man, you know? That's where you could spread your wings and do what you got to do. And you kept it under wraps and you felt good about yourself, you know? Had some grit. What would happen to Fight Club if everybody talked about it? I'll tell you. UFC in 2026 on Paramount Plus. That's what happens when you talk about Fight Club. It gets watered down. Imagine if Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal fought for the BMF title, for the inaugural BMF title, under wraps, underground, dark, lights flickering on and off, doors locked, in Fight Club. You think some nerdy dude would have came in and stopped it and ruined it? Nah, I don't think so. But that's what happens when you talk about Fight Club. That's what happens when you violate the first rule of Fight Club. You get the UFC today. You get the modern era. And you get us on Paramount Plus. And now I'm reading this article today. UFC's reach, and maybe some of you haven't heard about this, because look, I tell you guys all the time, I have to be a nerd. I have to go above and beyond and find out all this stuff so I could talk to you about it. If you're just out there living your life today, handling your own business, you haven't even heard about this yet. UFC's reach will more than double to over 200 million subscribers as Paramount Plus plans to merge with HBO Max. You heard that right. HBO is the channel that my tío Beto had to change. HBO is the TV channel, the station, the network, whatever you want to call it, that my tío Beto would have to change because my tía would yell at him. He would have to change it every time I entered the room. You think it's like that today? It's just as homogenized as the NFL today. Hashtag Sean Strickland. UFC is in that era where it is so mainstream. I mean, what happens when things go mainstream? Think of some of your favorite YouTubers. Think of some YouTubers that aren't your favorite. Think of the things that they were able to get away with before they had such a platform. And then once they're flying above the radar, And once people are watching them and writing articles about them and so on and so forth and etc., either you got to change your whole thing and you got to switch it up on all your viewers and switch it up on what got you to the dance in the first place, or you're demonetized. And now you got to save face and keep it up and keep doing the same thing. And now you're not even making money. Paramount announced plans to merge streaming services with HBO Max to reach over 200 million subscribers. This is not a debut album, ladies and gentlemen. I was thinking about my point, and I was listening to the Coldplay album before I started this stream. I would have started this stream like a whole hour and a half sooner, but I started listening to the Coldplay album, and I found myself listening from track 1 all the way to the end. I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't. Trying to listen to Parachutes, again, if you don't know any better, trying to listen to the debut Coldplay album from track 1 and then trying to stop it somewhere in the middle is like when you're trying to stop peeing midstream. It's impossible. It stings on a metaphorical level. It's impossible. But today, what is Coldplay known for today? For exposing cheaters. That's what Coldplay, that's their calling card today. That's what they are best known for in the modern era. For exposing cheaters. For exposing infidelity. That's what they do. It's like when everybody was like, who's Paul McCartney? It's very nice of Kanye West to help out this old guy. Remember a few years ago, everyone was like, who is this dude? Oh, how nice. Kanye West is giving this old man his start. He's letting this old man live out his dream. They didn't even know who Paul McCartney was. They thought he was Big John McCartney's brother. We got people today. We got Zillennials today that didn't even know that Coldplay played music. They didn't even know that Parachutes came out. We got Zillennials today who think that Coldplay is in cahoots with Joey Greco and the show Cheaters. That they took it next level like Impractical Joker style, and they're out in the big open world sandbox and they're exposing cheaters on the Titantron. That's their reputation today. The music is a means to an end. The music is a distraction. They're exposing infidelity. And I support that. I support that. I think we should go after the infidels. When I first read the article, I was excited because of what I do. I was excited because if we're bringing 200 million more subscribers to the sport, I thought, hey, I'm going to think selfishly. I'm going to think there's more people who could be exposed to my content. I'm going to be covering this sport. I'm going to be talking about this. Of course, I want more traffic. But they're continuing to do more and more so what they did to, what's that dude's name with the turtleneck? Steve Jobs. And I know we have villainized Dana White. And I know that we make fun of him. And I know that we blame him for a lot of the stuff that we see. But he's a pawn. He's a patsy. He's a mouthpiece. They're doing him like they did Steve Jobs. I ain't going to be surprised if I see him in the next 6 months to a year. And you know how he's always rocking that black t-shirt? I'm not going to be surprised if I see him. It's just going to go, it's going to grow north. I won't be surprised if we see him coming out in a turtleneck. I think they're doing the same thing to Dana White that they did to Steve Jobs. I think Dana White secretly loves and misses the way that the UFC was. And they're watering it down. The UFC's 7-year, $7.7 billion deal. $7.7 billion deal with Paramount just started in January, but the move to a new broadcast home is going to pay off even more if a planned merger with Warner Bros. Is approved. Paramount Skydance, led by CEO David Allison, reached an agreement days ago to purchase Warner Brothers and all its assets, which includes HBO and the HBO Max streaming service, which boasts over 131 million subscribers. On Monday, Allison announced plans to merge Paramount Plus with HBO Max. which will result in over 200 million subscribers based on the current totals for the two services. Paramount Plus currently has just over 79. Is this a typo? Paramount Plus currently has just over 70. That's not. Wait a minute. That's not possible. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I think they got all those people that voted for Joe Biden to to sign up for Paramount. It says right here, man, hey, how am I gonna take you serious MMA fighting? It says Paramount Plus currently has just over 79 billion subscribers. Who wrote this? Dr. Evil? 79 billion. Paramount Plus currently has just over 79 billion subscribers, yet somehow there's only 8.29 billion people on the earth right now. Was there just like a bunch of babies born that have credit cards? 79 billion. I think they meant million. As we said, I had to go to Google real quick. I was like, hold up. Did we get more people on the earth? Did they find out all those dudes in the rainforest? Like there was way more people than they thought? Paramount currently, apparently, okay, let's correct this, has over 79 million subscribers. As we said, we do plan to put the two services together, which today gives us a little over 200 million direct-to-consumer subscribers. David Allison said during investor call on Monday, we think that really positions us to compete with the leaders in the space. What are you talking about? What other leaders? You can't just be talking about MMA, right? There's no other leaders at that level, at that capacity. It's a monopoly, bro. At Paramount, by the middle of this year, we'll have completed the consolidation of our... He totally sounds like Dr. Evil. At Paramount, by middle of this year, we'll have completed the... Like he's talking about like when he was taking over the world. We'll have completed the consolidation. I feel like I used to do Dr. Evil so good when I was younger. I'm very upset right now. We'll have completed the consolidation of our three services under one unified stack. And you can see us taking a similar approach to this platform going forward. And we think the combined offering and given the amount of content and what we could do from the tech side really will put us in a position to be able to compete with the most scaled players in DTC. Oh, direct to consumer. Obviously, Paramount has to clear regulatory issues for the merger with Warner Bros. To become official. But once that happens, the two streaming services are expected to combine into one. While that gives the UFC more than double the reach for potential viewers, it also likely means a price change.
Now that I think about it, I hope you get violated by pig monkey men in the woods.
Well, that didn't take long, did it? That didn't take long, did it? While that gives the UFC more than double the reach for potential viewers, it also likely means a price change for customers subscribing to the service. So what if you're an existing customer? Am I going to get grandfathered in? Or are you going to hike it up on me every year like Netflix? That's only good for us. Well, obviously, bro. That's only good for us, TKO Group Holdings President and Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro said about the merger on Monday. That's where it starts for me. Okay, of course, bro. What kind of a dummy is saying this thing publicly? That's only good for us. That's where it starts for me. Our house just got bigger. This dude is talking about price hikes and saying that's good for us. Our house just got bigger. After announcing terms of the deal to acquire the UFC's broadcast rights, Paramount increased the price for Paramount Plus but only by $1 for each existing plan. One with ads, one without ads. The basic package runs $8.99 per month with the premium plan at $13.99 per month. HBO Max currently costs $10.99 per month with ads, $18.49 per month without ads, and $22.99 per month with the included foot massage and 4K streaming. At this stage, it's too early to anticipate what the new price for the combined Paramount Plus and HBO Max streaming services will be, but we think it might be exactly the same as before, where you still have to pay $80 per numbered event. Wow. Okay. So the UFC is getting more and more watered down. It's getting more mainstream. And they're going to start charging more money for it. Well, I think we can make more money if we merge with HBO Max. I feel like that would be better for us. Might be the worst thing possible. It might be the worst thing possible for the viewers. I think so. I think it would probably be the worst thing possible for both the viewers and the fighters. I think it would probably be the worst thing possible for the viewers and the fighters, but where else are they gonna go? I mean, there's no more Bellator. Who are they gonna watch? Who are they gonna watch in PFL? Francis Ngannou? More like Francis No Fight No. I lost the laugh. More like Francis No Fight No. More like Francis No Gonna Fight No Mo. Right. Where are they gonna go? RAF? Where are the strikers gonna go? They gonna wrestle? Are they gonna wrestle Armin Sarukian? Paige Van Zandt used our laser to make her entire body hairless. I just think that the more popular something gets, I mean, think about when you were first like with your lady, bro. Think about when you were first with your boyfriend, and it was just like hot and heavy, you know. You still both live at home with your parents, and you're like driving around trying to find like the best dimly lit places so you know you could get to know each other better and whatnot. And then, you know, fast forward and you're sitting across from each other at the dinner table and you're like contemplating strangling them because you hate the way they chew, right? And like they make this weird look with their face, like they're winking or something. Like I don't know if it's some kind of a twitch, or I think it's something that may have adapted over the years because they weren't doing it when you first dated, or did you just not notice it? And if this person would have went away, would anybody even notice? Because they're not even in that much touch that often with their family. Would anybody miss them? And you know, the way they scrape their teeth with a fork and stuff like that. And you just feel like if you ended it right now, that it wouldn't really have that. There's a lot going on in the world right now, like with the files and the aliens and Iran. And like, would anybody even know that your significant other was even gone? And, you know, so it's just, I think it's important to think about things like that when we're talking about what the UFC once was. And the way that we were in love with it because of just the rawness and the newness. And it was just this unadulterated thing that was very precious to us. And then so many hands got on it. You know, so many different people started putting in their $2 about how we could make more and how we could squeeze out more and how we could get 79 billion people. You know, they're bringing in people from Venus and Mars and Mercury and whatnot.